Julius Malema.
Mr. Malema, do you have any objection taking the prescribed oath?
No.
Do you consider the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Raise right hand and repeat after me. I swear that the evidence that you are about to give will be the whole truth, nothing else except the truth, so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Mr. Otis, your witness.
Can I please take off my...
Yes, you may do so. I'm not sure. Are you comfortable standing?
I'll indicate when I get tired.
It is in order, Mr. Malema.
Thank you.
Mr. Otis, you may proceed.
Thank you, Bishop. Mr. Malema, you are an accused arising out of an incident that took place on the 14th of April 2018. Can you please, going slowly, watching His Worship's pen, take us through your movements on the day of the 14th of April 2018?
Perhaps I will start a bit before that day when
Sure.
Mama passed away. We went to visit her house, and when we arrived there, we sent our condolences to the family, and the family said I was taken outside by both the late Zinzi and the Ambassador Zenani, the two daughters of Mama Winnie, that they would like me to give a speech on the day of her burial, and that they don't want me to speak on the memorial, I must speak on the actual day, that both the state and the ANC are refusing that I speak, that they do not want me to speak there, and they say it's a state funeral.
Can you just repeat? You say about the state?
Both the state and the ANC
Thank you.
do not want me to speak there because it's a state funeral, and that in the state funeral ordinarily it will be president, a family and ministers who speak. And they told me that they've made it very clear to the ANC and to the state that he is going to speak, and if you insist that he should not speak, we are going to decline the state funeral, and then we'll bury her on our own because we must bury her according to a wish. I do not get surprised with what is happening today because it occurred way before she passed away. Now, on the day in question, which is very, very difficult for me, because standing here requires me to relive the painful day of burial of our mother. It will mean for me today that I'm burying her for the second time, because I have to relive that painful day through my testimony. On the day in question, my security came in the morning to take the vehicles to a road lodge at Grayston, where there will be sweeping of vehicles which are going to the stadium.
When you say a road lodge, you mean the city lodge? It's a
No,
hotel.
road lodge.
Road lodge.
Road lodge. I should indicate that it was very few vehicles were allowed at the stadium. Even ministers' vehicles were not allowed at the stadium. Only those ministers who were in the preparatory committee were allowed to come with vehicles to the stadium. There was a shuttle service provided on that day where ministers will park and get into buses. But my vehicle was swept that day by the security and then allowed to proceed with the escort of the Metro Police to the stadium.
When you refer to your vehicle, what type of motor vehicle was it?
Viano, the black Viano Mercedes-Benz. when we arrived at the stadium, we did not park at the parking. We parked at the basement where the presidents and former presidents and head of states were parking. And the program proceeded, and after that, it was announced that very few people will go to the cemetery, and the rest of the mourners should remain at the stadium, and those accredited should go to the cemetery. I was standing with Minister Mbalula that day when my car came to pick me up. Just we walked outside the stadium, and my car came from the basement to pick me up. And he was shocked that my car was allowed because they were made to park somewhere as ministers and go into buses. I'm making this point to demonstrate how the vehicle in question has had access to where nobody had access. We drove to the
When you say
cemetery.
we drove, who was with you in the vehicle?
It was me and Mr. Ndlozi.
Accused
and-
number 2.
Yes,
Yes.
and the two protectors,
So in total, how many people were in the vehicle?
4. Now, it was so tight, the security was so tight, so much that no one could actually join the convoy if you're not accredited. Your Worship, when we joined the freeway, the off-ramps and the on-ramps were all blocked. And the on-ramp that we came from Orlando Stadium, where the N1 starts from that on-ramp, that blocked it. No car coming from the other side of that on-ramp will pass that on-ramp. Only the cars of the funeral were allowed on that day.
Now, amongst that convoy, were there any motorcyclists?
There were motorcyclists, there were metro police, there were all types of law enforcement on the day. I think I had just asked one of our colleagues to go and print just a example, a picture of the freeway that day where the presidential convoy and all of the convoy, it was only those types of vehicles on the freeway on that day. So we proceeded. We never had any problem, and we arrived at the entrance of the cemetery, and we were blocked by Colonel Venter. It is incorrect for the other witness to say he blocked us before, because we were never blocked by anyone. Even in my original statement, I make mention of Colonel Venter blocking us. Why would I have missed that one? I didn't know he was going to be a state witness. I had nothing against him. I would have mentioned that we were actually blocked first by this person and then second by Venter. We were never blocked by anyone. We were blocked by Venter.
Now, at the time when you were blocked by the complainant, where were you seated in the vehicle?
I was at the back. Now, Venter blocked us. Then he spoke to our driver. Our driver showed Venter the permit of the car and showed Venter his accreditation, the individual accreditation. Venter asked our driver a question: who are you driving? He said, Mr. Malema. I think that's where the problem started, because he said, no, you are not allowed. Now, my worship, if the truth is being told, we live this life every day. It's our job. If the vehicle is not allowed and only individuals are allowed, Venter would have said, drop off here and take the car to park on the other side. It's our life. We do that on a daily basis, where we are told the car will not go in, drop off here, take the car back. No. Only to arrive in this court, and hear that my car was a problem. But all along, I lived under the impression that I was a problem who was not allowed to attend that funeral. My car was never questioned on that day. No one ever had an issue with my car. After they told him, and he said, no, this car will not go in, I then got out because I thought if he recognizes me, he would change his attitude. When I got out, he did the craziest thing I've never seen in a police personnel. He blocked the car with his body and stretched his hands like this. He was blocking the car like, and I was like, why are you being dramatic? What is the problem? And he started speaking in Afrikaans. And that's when I started being agitated. Your Worship, it was a difficult day for me. It was an emotional day for me. Any attempt to stop me from burying my mother will be a humiliation and violation of my dignity as an individual. I was not going to reason with anyone who will want to stop me from burying my mother. I did everything to bury this woman in a dignified manner. I lived with her. I defended her when they all turned against her. And I was not going to allow a situation where I'm denied the right to say my last goodbyes. If they had said to me, your car is not allowed, get out of your car and go walk into the cemetery, I would have done that as long as I can just get an opportunity to bury my mother. But when I was denied, despite displaying accreditation, despite being known who's very close to this person we are burying today, I still get treated in a manner Venter did. Now, we are now pushed. There were guys who came, and those were, the passerbys, who said, hey, what are you doing? And then they started pushing him. You don't know this guy. You don't know this guy. They started pushing him. Then I went into the driver's seat because I said to the driver, look, if you are scared to drive, let me drive this car. It's my car. As I was trying to drive the car, then Venter continued with his shenanigans. I then went back and then I pushed him. I said, you need to leave my car. Your Worship, the question should arise. If a police officer is being pushed, executing his duties rightfully so, the first thing a police officer does is to call for a backup. Did Venter call for a backup? No way does anyone argue that Venter called for a backup because he was under attack. If anything, he was acting on his own out of his hatred of some of us, maybe because later it came out that he's an Afriforum member, an Afriforum which is an enemy of my organization. So we pushed him, and then we came in with the vehicle, and everything proceeded so well. Now, let's canvass this one, Your Worship. If the car is not allowed to be there, under no circumstances, particularly in the presence of the President, former heads of states, and heads of states, will that car have access. It will never go in. Because what is the point of taking these cars through screening if there is a car that can just bully itself into the occasion? It's a security risk, and it's a high security risk. Let's say we succeeded to push our way at the entrance. I can guarantee you, Your Worship, we're going to be fetched from our inside that this car does not belong here. You must leave with this car with immediate effect. It's a Venter's attitude. It's not police operation. Police operate in a particular way. And one of such ways is no car which is not accredited in an occasion like that can have access into the cemetery, and there is no follow-up to go and impound it. And what is even worse, Your Worship, is that in such occasions, you will have a tow truck where if a car parks at the wrong place and they can't locate the driver, they tow it. If a car goes inside and the owner is cheeky and not compliant, they will tow it. Nowhere, Your Worship, are you told of this car being towed? Are you told of this car being impounded? Are you told of police reinforcement to come and deal with these unruly elements? It's only one man in such a big occasion where he acts on his own volition without following what are the prerequisites of a person who must mend such an occasion.
Mr. Malema, over and above the car,
I've got a bit of flu. Can I have
Over
through
and
you, Your Worship?
Yes, you may.
Yes.
over and above the car, if we sketch the scenario that you've now depicted for this court, had you, in the minds of all of those officers, police officers, and all other corps, assaulted a colonel in front of all of them, ordinarily, what do you believe ought to have happened to you?
I didn't hear that.
Had you, in the minds of all the officers that were present, including high-ranking police officers, members of the military, if you had, in their mind, assaulted the complainant in front of them, what do you believe would have happened to you?
We will have been arrested immediately on the scene. There would have been enough police presence to show us that you don't dare undermine the police proceedings, because on such occasions, Your Worship, police take over. Once they say it's a state funeral, both the army and the police are in charge, and therefore no one will dare undermine such authority.
I want to hand to Exhibit A before this court. Can you identify this document, please?
Yo.
What is that?
Special official funeral service for Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Saturday, 14 April 2018, 26 September 1936 to 2nd April 2018, with Mama's picture.
No, I believe it's common cause that that was the official program of the day, and you'll see there that you feature as item 17. Do you identify yourself as being representing item 17?
Yes.
What did that entail? What were you required to do?
I was expected to pay a tribute to Mama Mandela.
So if anybody said that you didn't belong at this funeral, shouldn't have been at the cemetery, what is your response?
That is unthinkable, because even if I was not on the program, there are a lot of Winnie's relatives, there are Winnie's grandchildren who are not on the program. But there is no way you can think they will not be at the burial site. It is unthinkable.
Now, in the docket, there was a statement by the late Ambassador Zinzi Mandela. I'm going to read it to you for your comments. It was A24, it's Exhibit E in this Honourable Court. It's a statement by Ambassador Zinzi Mandela. I, the undersigned Zinzi Mandela, with identity number, wish to state as follows. I'm an adult female South African citizen at present serving as the South African ambassador to Denmark. I'm the daughter of the late Nomzama Winnie Madikizela Mandela and the late Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Both my parents were renowned and internationally acclaimed political leaders who played a significant role in the struggle for the liberation of South Africa from the yoke of apartheid. My father died on 5 December 2013. More significantly, relative to this statement, my mother died on 2 April 2018 and was buried at an official funeral on 14 April 2018. I was shocked to learn recently that Mr. Julius Malema was on the verge of being criminally charged for being involved in a scuffle with Lieutenant Colonel Venter of the South African Police Service at the gate of the four-way cemetery on the date of my mother's funeral. I was even more appalled on the day in question when I was told that some members of the South African security forces who were on official duty at my mother's funeral had attempted to prevent Mr. Malema from entering the cemetery to pay his last respects to my mother, who literally raised him and regarded him as her own biological child and son. This is the fact that is or should have been known to any person who regards themselves as South African. In any event, any security briefing preceding the funeral ought to have been identified as the most obvious members of the Mandela family, including our extended family. It was no coincidence that Mr. Malema was one of the key speakers at my mother's funeral. Despite some political resistance, the Mandela family had insisted that Mr. Malema be part of the program. Without him, the funeral would have been incomplete or carried out against the wishes of the person being buried. Again, any member of the security forces ought to have been briefed about to be in possession of the program. To prevent Mr. Malema from entering the cemetery would have created the most serious violation of the specific wishes of the Mandela family. To prevent a son from burying his own mother in the name of the law is an unthinkable act of provocation. There was in any event no justification for attempting to block Mr. Malema from entering the graveyard. More importantly, I wish to appeal to the humanity of those who will take the decision whether to charge or not charge Mr. Malema for his role in the scuffle which took place in those special circumstances. I also wish to appeal to the decision makers' compassion and empathy. At the relevant time, those of us who were the closest to the deceased could not reasonably have been expected to behave as our normal selves. Understandably, we were not ourselves. We were caught up in a bizarre and unprecedented moment. An armchair approach after the fact cannot even begin to appreciate the uniqueness of that moment. I myself would have reacted far worse if any person had prevented me from paying my last respects to my deceased parents. It would have been culturally incongruent and morally indefensible. Laws cannot be applied mechanically as if we are not dealing with human beings who suffer loss in different ways. This is an incident from which all those involved should walk away with their dignity intact. The purpose of this statement is to express in the strongest possible terms that Mr. Julius Malema cannot be justifiably prosecuted for that which we would all have done, if not worse, under the circumstances. I therefore plead that the decision to prosecute ought not to be taken. Failing this, the Mandela family will have no option but to doubt if the security forces had the interests of the grieving family at heart. To charge Mr. Malema can only serve to exacerbate the pain and sense of loss which we still feel and will represent the height of insensitivity and absence of Ubuntu that makes us human. As a family, we would support any alternative solution which does not involve the criminal justice system, including attending a meeting with the alleged victim, so that we can explain the deep human and cultural issues involved in this matter, which cannot be treated as a routine case of assault. For any further clarity on the above, I can be contacted at the following email address, and it's supplied. We pray that sanity and common sense will prevail in the handling of this matter, and it's signed by Zinzi Mandela on 14 September 2019 in Copenhagen, Denmark. Do you have any comments on that statement, sir?
Well, I agree entirely with that statement, and that your worship should note that in the spirit of that statement, we also tried to approach the complainant, because we are not boastful about what happened. If anything, our mother's funeral was supposed to proceed incident-free. And when this came to the fore, we thought the best thing will be to approach the complainant and we find the Ubuntu solution to this problem, which the court should encourage. That instead of preoccupying the court on matters that could easily be resolved amongst individuals, particularly matters like common assault, we should all be encouraged to do Ubuntu approach.
It was admitted by the complainant that he never attended that meeting. He sent Afriforum to attend that meeting. Do you have any comment on that, sir?
Well, that's how political it becomes, because Afriforum has made its business to go after me and go after the EFF. So I'm not shocked that they actually denied him to do the right thing, except Afriforum being Mandela's fans. They are fans of Mandela when it suits them. But when it doesn't suit them, they are not fans of Mandela.
Just one moment. Just one moment. Sorry to interject, Mr. Otis. The court just wants to remind that the pandemic is still being regulated by the Health Act. And I now see everybody is realizing that they do not wear their mask over their nose. Advocate holders, as well as Mr. Malema, doesn't have a mask on because it is necessary for them to lead evidence in this regard, and Mr. Malema have clearly requested the court to do so. Members of the gallery have not requested the court to remove their masks. So, inspectors, I am requesting you to look specifically at the people should wear their mask at all time whilst they are inside of the building. If they do not wear their mask, they are free to leave, and then they can remove their mask at their own wish. But whilst this proceedings is continuing, the court is expecting everybody to wear their mask. Sorry for the interjection, and the court do not want to repeat this in future again.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Yes, Your Worship, please. Thank you, Worship. Thank you. Now, sir, I want to turn to the time that you were leaving the stadium. You have said that there was a cavalcade or a convoy of motorcyclists with the vehicles. Is there a video presentation of that you've seen anywhere?
No. But also, Your Worship, is that I hear people saying our vehicle was the last one. It's not true. Because our vehicle, if it was the last one, then there will be the last police vehicle, either Metro Police or the bikes or anything of that. So there is a lead in front and there is a car which blocks people from joining the convoy. So our car was not the last one.
Now we see the video, and you'll notice immediately there are no motorbikes or motorcyclists on the video. Do you know where they were at that stage?
The first ones would have entered, and the last ones are still coming. So that's why you can't see them immediately after our vehicle.
If the video had started earlier and ran for longer, would you have seen that?
Well, they should be able to show us. It should be able to show us. And equally, I don't understand this thing of bringing cut and paste. Because for us and for the worship to arrive at a determination, he needs to have a total picture. And this is not a total picture. It's part of the picture, yes. The fact that it's not being disputed, it doesn't mean it's a total picture. We have accepted it to be accepted as evidence because it's part of what transpired, but it's not a total picture. And therefore, any judgment that relies on this video, it will not be relying on the total picture of what transpired on that day.
So when you say it's part of, what you mean is that it's a portion of the proceedings.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to the video now and play it for you. Starting at the beginning, it's an exhibit before this court, and then I'm going to ask you for your comments as we proceed. Now, you see cars driving in. Do you recognize that as the entrance?
Is this way starting?
Yes.
Yeah, you see that's extreme distortion, because I don't know if they brought the picture, Lawrence. In the front of the convoy. Let's leave us, because someone is trying to prove that we infiltrated the convoy. The first picture we must see here is of the motorbikes and the president's vehicles. So anything that starts with an unidentifiable C200 Mercedes-Benz is nothing close to what the president drives.
So we see these unmarked vehicles
Yes.
driving in. Do you agree?
Yes.
The time that's given is at the top left there. It's the 14th of April 2018 being a Saturday, at 15:15 being the hours and the minutes and 25 seconds. I beg pardon, 15:45. Thank you. I was corrected by my learned friend, and she is correct, my Lord, Your Worship. I'm going to proceed. So you see these unmarked vehicles entering. There was a Mercedes, and now there appears to be a Volkswagen. Do you agree with that?
If you have noticed, they don't have blue lights also.
Now, can those vehicles be described as being part of the president or the family of the deceased?
No, but not only that. Look at the distance between that vehicle and the next vehicle that is going to follow. So, someone else I saw during the trial will say, no, the distance in between shows that this car has gone in for some minutes before this car came in. No, look at the distance in between. It's not bumper to bumper. So to create an impression that convoy means bumper to bumper is misinformed. There it goes for a very long time without any car coming. Then impression is, no, it has to be bumper to bumper, it must have blue lights, and there must be sort of identity, which you can't see from those vehicles that we just watched now.
This is camera 11. It's already inside the gate. Here comes the BMW X5. And another one.
So you see these ones, they are likely to be driving together. So that one, first one, might be the main car, and the one close to the bumper might be a backup. That's why they've got blue lights.
But now you've seen, as you've pointed out, the gap between that Volkswagen and these BMWs. Can anybody, I want to ask you, was that Volkswagen part of this convoy and granted entry to the memorial place?
It was. It was. The being part of the convoy is not determined by blue lights and then entering seconds after each other. It's incorrect.
And thus far, for the record on this video, have you seen any motorcyclists?
No.
Okay, I'm going to proceed.
And the likelihood why you don't see the motorcyclist, this is the body of the convoy. There is a head and a tail. That's where you get more, the escorting cars.
Now
You
these
get them.
two X5s, you saw blue lights. Do you see any other depiction that they've been authorized to enter? Any
No.
signs on them or permits or anything visible on the
Nothing.
video? Right, so continue. This is camera 11. There's another camera of outside of the gate. This is inside of the
Okay.
gate.
But again, have you noticed the time that X5 has been standing there and no other car coming immediately after it? Because impression here created is that for you to be convoy, you have to be bumper to bumper. And I said those two are bumper to bumper because the other one is the main car, the other one is a backup.
That's the incident. And just for the record, whilst you're watching, the whole group of people in uniforms visible on the video. Do you agree
Yeah.
with me?
Yes.
Now you see there, at the beginning of the incident, the red umbrella with the EFF insignia. Do you identify it?
Yeah, I see the red. I don't see EFF emblem.
Pause. Do you identify yourself there?
Yeah.
And accused number 2.
Yes.
And what are you doing there?
I was pushing Venter
Why?
to move in front of my car so that my car can go in. Because he had no justifiable legal reason why he stopped my car.
And the car, what was the car doing while that was happening?
Huh?
What-
The guy is driving in.
And is anybody else
No one is
prohibiting that
blocking
vehicle
it.
from entering?
No one is blocking it. And there is too much police presence there and other law enforcement officers. Why is Venter giving himself the sole responsibility of stopping that vehicle? If that vehicle indeed was not supposed to be there, as we were busy with Venter, other police officers should be attending to the vehicle. Or hey, wait, we're still attending to this matter.
Now in the screen you can count. There are more than 12 people in uniform.
Yes.
Does anybody take any measure to prevent that vehicle from
No
coming
one.
inside besides Mr. Venter?
No one.
Right, I'm going to move forward. Now you see the state witness talking to accused number 2.
That one I'm very disappointed with. His statement and what he said here are not worth of a law enforcement
Well, let me
officer.
ask you, did that person stop your vehicle outside of the cemetery?
No, he never stopped my vehicle. Even in his statement, he doesn't say that, Your Worship.
And here does
If he had said that in his statement, I will respect him.
and here
but-
does he do anything to stop the vehicle from
No, he
proceeding?
doesn't do that. But to be prepared, to be coerced into saying wrong things under oath, it's a terrible thing to do, including for those who coerced him to come and disown his own statement. Horrible.
Now you see the complainant there. Does he seem to have suffered any injuries?
No, he's proper. You see, no one, Your Worship, is making calls or running or doing anything to get reinforcement to go after that car. That car goes inside without any problem. Now, Your Worship, our car is not part of the convoy. Lawrence, if you can stop it there. Yeah, there. Your Worship, before our car came in between, we waited for a bit for us to come in. If you can check the distance. There is no traffic officers. It is their own evidence to you that the last vehicle of the convoy is the traffic officers or motorcycles or anything of that sort. Where are those motorcycles between my car and the one that went in before? And then now my car has gone in. The other car is coming after mine. Where is the motor vehicles that blocks the convoy, the last cars of the convoy? Where are they here?
You mean the tail of
To
the
show that this was not, to show that this was still a convoy and that my car was part of the convoy. Because immediately before me, there were supposed to be motorcycles. They are not there. Immediately after me, there were supposed to be motorcycles. They are not there, meaning the convoy is still proceeding.
Do you know this vehicle that's driving in?
No, I don't know. It looks like a hearse.
Now, can the hearse not? Can it ever be argued that the hearse was not part of the convoy?
No ways. No ways.
Now, even after the hearse, I'm going to show you for a while. Do you see motorcyclists arriving?
I see Venter on a walkie-talkie walking nicely.
I'm going to try to get the other view now outside of the gate. Don't know how to do it. Hold the back, please. I just need my learned friend's assistance.
It is in order.
There you go. That's one that we did. Let's see if this one. No, I don't seem to have yet. Well, you've watched the video now, Mr. Malema. If we can come back to what transpired on that day. Once you were inside of this memorial park, what happened?
We attended the burial of Miss Mandela.
Did anybody come and approach you and
No
tell
one.
you you had no right to be there?
No one.
Did anybody come and tell you that your vehicle had no right to be
No
there?
one.
You and the other occupants of the car, did you have any personal authorization to be there?
We're hanging it on our chest.
What was that?
The accreditation.
And was that vehicle accredited?
The vehicle was accredited. There is a video which they showed here in this court with the accreditation on the dashboard.
I'm going to show you the photos.
Yes.
I hand to you Exhibit 4. I'm going to ask you to turn in Exhibit 4 to page 4.6 and see if you can identify it. Can I have the program back?
I must go away.
The front page is 4.1. You'll see they're numbered and turn to 4.6. These are photos. It's common cause. They're photos that were taken out of the video footage that was available.
Open 6. Yeah.
Do you see the vehicle?
Yes.
And is there anything that you wish to point out to this honorable court?
On the second picture,
Yes.
if you look at through the windscreen, my worship, there is a accreditation there. There's no one who puts anything there. That's not a place to put a newspaper or anything of that sort.
The version changes. Firstly, is that a reflection or do you actually see a document on that windscreen?
I see a document, yeah.
Secondly, did you or anybody else slip that in behind the colonel's back as he contended?
What?
Did you or anybody else slip that in behind the colonel's back?
Why would we
Not
do
Colonel
that,
Venter.
and where are we going to get that from? Where are we going to get that from? The colonel asked the guy to identify himself. He did that, showed him the name tag, showed him the accreditation. Then the second question was, who are you driving? And it was Mr. Malema. That's where the problem started.
Now, I know it's difficult for you, and you explained on your comments. Can you tell the court how you were feeling on that day?
It was a very difficult day, a very emotional day. I came into politics when I was very young, and I was raised by people like Winnie Mandela. I've been very close to her, and I could not have imagined that I would be stopped from burying her. My relationship with her, Your Worship, is known to all South Africans who are not ignorant. Only those who are ignorant and do not know what's happening in this country will not know how I relate with her.
So in that context, if someone told you that you weren't allowed to go in personally, what would your response be?
I was not going to allow that. You know, Lawrence, you guys can find me guilty and send me to jail for years you want to. But if you are going to send me to jail for burying my mother, so be it. For Winnie, I can go to jail. For Winnie, I can be killed. I did that when she was alive, and I did that when she passed away. I defended her. So I seek no favor from anybody. I live by my principle. I did not violate any law. I wanted to bury my mother. And if that is the crime I committed, I'm proud to have committed that crime. Send me to jail if you want.
If someone said, fine, you were allowed inside because you had something, a lanyard around your neck, but that vehicle wasn't allowed inside, what would your response be?
No one told me that. I don't care about vehicles. I don't put attachment to vehicles. I'm saying to you, on daily basis, we are told drop here and walk. I do that. That's part of my life. Why would I fight for a vehicle to go in? I don't care about a vehicle. I care about me being stopped from burying my mother. And no one was stopping the vehicle. They stopped me. Anything, my worship, anything didn't matter that day as long as I can bury my mother. That's what matters.
Was that vehicle authorized to enter that memorial?
It was authorized, and it went through security check. It was in the basement of FNB with president's vehicles, former presidents, head of states. It was part of the convoy from the Orlando to the cemetery.
Were you and the passengers, all 4 passengers in that vehicle, allowed to enter that memorial center?
Yes, we were.
Now, I'm going to ask you, culturally, can you explain to the court the significance or importance of funerals and paying respects to deceased people? Culturally, what impact does it have on you?
Your worship, you were going to deny me a closure. You were going to deny me a closure that I have no closure with the person I've known all my life. And in our culture, when you don't have such a closure and your things don't go right, you keep on blaming that occasion where you are not allowed to say goodbye to your loved ones. It's a ritual, but also it's a healing process. It's a closure. And nobody was going to deny me from having a closure. Uncultured people with no tradition may not understand that. I accept. But this is who we are.
Right, I haven't seen the photograph that I haven't received. I've seen, but I haven't received the photograph that you referred to, but I'm reluctant to delay issues. Can you explain to the court what you... I beg your pardon.
You made it approach.
Now, look at it and show it to Marlon because I haven't seen it as yet.
Sorry, Your Worship, I am going to object with all due respect. I have not seen this.
Also,
Just before you do object, I think Mr. Otis wants to approach you as well and disclose to you. I do take into account it was not disclosed.
Worship, I've in court now received 3 photographs that I'd like to show to
At this
Marlon.
stage, Advocate Otis, I've also noticed the time. It is 1
I beg your
o'clock. I think
pardon. I
most
didn't know
probably
that.
it would be an appropriate time for you to go through the photos as well, and
Thank
then
you.
also disclose it to Ms. Hart. And then,
As your worship pleases. Thank you.
at a later stage, you can then, the parties can inform the court how they want to deal with the said.
Thank you, worship.
Thank you, Mr. Malema. You're still under oath. You are not allowed to discuss your evidence with anyone. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Can you indicate to the court your full names and surname?
Julius Malema.
Mr. Malema, you're still under oath. You have not discussed your evidence with anyone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Otis?
It's my intention to introduce 3 photographs of the convoy on that day. And the relevance, your worship, appears from the cross-examination of Mr. Venter. I understand my learned friend is objecting. If she wants to place her objection on record, we took this off the, if you Google Winnie Mandela's funeral procession, there's a photograph from that website that were created whilst I was in court. I didn't have access to them before. I understand she has an objection to it.
Thank you. Mr. Hart?
Thank you, Your Worship. I indeed have an objection to these photographs being used. Your Worship, as I said, before I place the basis for my objection, on record I have said to Advocate Holders that when he wanted to present it, Your Worship, that is when I became aware, and when the accused testified that there's photographs, Your Worship. So I was not made aware of this before, Your Worship. And I'm going to object to the photos being used today, Your Worship, on the basis of documentary evidence. This is an enlarged photograph that I can see. And in terms of the legislation, Your Worship, authenticity needs to be proven, Your Worship. Originality needs to be proven. If we go on terms of Section 15(1) of the ECT Act as well, Your Worship, provides for the general admissibility of data messages. It is important to note that Section 15(1) does not make every data message admissible, and the wording of the section indicates that data message may be inadmissible on grounds contained in other laws. Your Worship, these photos that is enlarged, Your Worship, I cannot see any date or anything, Your Worship, on these photos. So I believe that my learned colleague should then prove authenticity in this matter, Your Worship. Please, the court.
Advocate Otis?
Your Worship, I explained where I got them. I can't take it further. What I will do, Your Worship, is I'll avoid using them. I thought they would have assisted the court, but I can deal with this issue without the use of the documentary evidence, if I may proceed on that basis.
You may do so.
Thank you. Mr. Malema, it was put to Colonel Venter on your behalf that if you look on SABC TV or YouTube, it would appear that the convoy is much larger than he had told the court. Do you have any comment? Yes, the reference is page 5 of the transcript of the 29th of October 2020. It starts from there.
I agree.
Right. Now, I want to put to you that if you can give the court some indication of the amount of vehicles that were in the convoy and the types of vehicles that were in the convoy.
Well, there were different types of vehicles. The president was there. 2 former presidents were there. And the former deputy presidents were there. And we had other heads of states, some of the ministers and deputy ministers and dignitaries. And there were buses assigned to family members as well, which were part of the convoy. So you can imagine how many cars are there, especially when you've got former heads of state and heads of states and former deputy president.
Now, you referred to buses. Do you mean minibuses, large commercial buses, or both?
Buses, even both. You can say both, but in this case I was referring to proper buses that were some used for shuttling the ministers to the stadium and from the stadium to the gravesite.
And at page 7 it was put to Colonel Venter that even after 1600 hours, once sees vehicles arriving from the stadium, white vehicles that it was put to him a part of the funeral parlor, and he said there were also military vehicles that were white. Do you have any comment?
There were military vehicles that were white, yes.
Right. And then it was put to him that your vehicle was part of that convoy. What's your comment in that regard?
I was part of that convoy.
Were there any motorcycles in that convoy?
There were motorcycles in front and at the back.
Were there any that also that traveled alongside besides
No.
the ones in front and the back?
No, the picture that they are refusing you to introduce to court for purposes of denying me justice will show you that there are no motorcycles in between.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell this court about these charges in this incident?
Well, I think that these charges emanate from white supremacism, where a white Afrikaner male feels that his ego, a fragile ego, has been tampered with, that he cannot be pushed by black African children. Your worship, police get pushed all the time. And if police were to open common assault cases against people who push them when they execute their duties, you can imagine that these courts will be overcrowded with unnecessary cases. So if this does not come from white supremacism and hatred of certain people, why did you refuse the Ubuntu approach? Because if you're seeking justice, engaging one another to show each other's fault and perhaps for others to accept that they were wrong to do what they did, it is also justice. Afriforum is as the center because its responsibility is to spread hatred and divisions amongst our people. And that's why I'm not shocked. But what shocks me is the National Prosecuting Authority that coaches witnesses and make them change statements. As to where that emanates from, I do not know, except that I will suspect that it's a...
I'm going to object to this line of questioning where the accused is now saying that the NPA coaches witnesses, Your Worship.
It's not a questioning, I'm answering.
I am
Just one
speaking
moment,
to the
Mr. Malema.
magistrate.
I'm speaking as well.
Can I just have order? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. May I address the court?
Yes, you
Thank
may.
you, Your Worship. I'm objecting to this line of questioning where the accused is now insinuating, Your Worship, saying that the NPA coaches witnesses, Your Worship. There is no basis. There is no fact, Your Worship. So I'm asked the court, Your Worship, to make a ruling, please.
Mr. Otis?
Worship, there's
Yes,
nothing improper or irregular in the question. If my learned friend takes issue with what the witness is saying, then she's welcome to cross-examine him. There's nothing improper or irregular. He's mentioned it earlier in his testimony once you never objected. So I don't know on what basis she objects to this line of question, because the question was open-ended. It didn't elicit anything irrelevant or irresponsible. It was a fair question, and I honestly believe he is entitled to answer this in the manner that he is doing so.
Thank you. The court will rule on the following objection with regards to the state indicating that specifically with regards to the witness answer, indicating that the NPA is coaching witnesses in this regard. It's not the first time that the witness has testified to that extent. And also with regards to the question which was imposed, the court also find it to be a fair answer with regards to the witness giving his opinion in this regard. So the court is allowing the question. You may proceed.
Because of that attitude of the NPA coaching witnesses, Your Worship, if you had an objective NPA that is not politically embedded and that seeks to pursue certain interests outside justice, it would have been the NPA that would have recommended that there be a mediation between the parties so that a common ground is found. We cannot afford in this democracy to have an embedded NPA that doesn't seek to find a solution to problems, but instead look at who is involved, then see an opportunity to destroy such characters.
Now, prior to the 14th of April 2018, did you know this Colonel Venter?
I don't know him. I've got nothing to do with him, and there's no way I will go charging on a person that I do not know. Your Worship, Colonel Venter is a tall, well-built Afrikaner male in a police camouflage. Why would you want to tamper with such a person? Unless you feel that an injustice is being made against you, and you realize you got nothing else but to defend yourself against an injustice.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Worship.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Worship. On the 14th of April, 2018, is it correct that you were in the black Mercedes Vito? If you cannot hear me, you can tell me, I can speak louder.
I didn't hear that.
Okay. On the 14th of April, on the day of the incident, is it correct that you were in the black Mercedes Vito vehicle?
Yes. It's not Vito, it's Viano.
As a Viano, okay.
Yes.
You've seen the video footage, Advocate Holders has played it for you. The black vehicle that is shown, you were in that vehicle, is that correct?
The Viano.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is it correct that you were sitting at the back?
Yes.
Is it correct that accused number 2 was the passenger next to the driver? Yes.
There were 2 protectors in front, and then accused number 2 and myself were at the back.
Were at the back, okay. I'm going to play the video footage for you.
Sure.
Sorry, Your Worship, I just want to take the
Yes, ma'am.
try to get this away. Do you agree with me? I'm going to play it again, just here. I see blue lights on the BMW X5. Did you
Yes.
see that?
I saw that.
Okay. Do you see the blue lights on that
Yeah.
vehicle, the second X5
Yeah.
as well? Okay. At 1547, I'm not sure if you can see, Advocate Holders, you can say if I'm correct or not. It's 1547.
I can see.
Okay,
My eyes are still sharp.
that's very good. .548, 1548, the vehicles are moving, the two vehicles. So 1548, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. At this point, you agree with me there's a gap?
Yes.
You agree with me no vehicle is coming at this stage?
Yes.
Thank you. It's 1548 and 21 seconds. You agree with me there's no vehicle still coming?
Yes.
We are now at 1549.
Absolutely.
You agree with me?
Yes.
Minutes, okay, 60 seconds. Oh, let me just pause. I'm going to stop there. Okay.
Yes.
Now, can I ask, you were in the vehicle. When Colonel Venter stopped the vehicle, to whom did he speak to?
To the driver.
To the driver. Did he go to the driver's side?
Yes. But Your Worship, let me drive a different point home, which she's not doing. She's asking me, from this minute and this minute, can you see there's no car moving? From this minute to this minute, can you see there's no car moving? You know why the car is not moving in between that car and my car? Venter has stopped my car. It's not in the camera. That delay is caused by Venter, who has stopped my car. Because if you're going to use that to determine that I was not part of convoy, then it's misleading. My car was stopped. Then what happens after? You see a fracas to show that there was some form of discussion off camera. That's why there is a gap. And that discussion did not lead anywhere. And then the fracas started.
I'm going to go again to my question. Colonel Venter went to the driver's side, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So he spoke to the driver.
Yes.
Did you hear when he spoke to the driver?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say to the driver?
He asked the driver to show him the accreditation. The driver showed him the accreditation on his chest and the vehicle accreditation. Then he asked the driver, who are you driving? Then the driver said, I'm driving Mr. Malema.
Okay. So did the driver show his, I'm talking about the driver now,
Yes.
did he show his accreditation, or are you saying that he was around his neck?
Yeah, the one
Okay.
around his neck, he showed that.
And the vehicle accreditation?
Yes.
Did he take it out, or did he just
No, he
say
just
on the
pointed
dashboard?
it there.
He just pointed it
Yes.
there. Okay. I am going to show you before I move on. Advocate Holders, I'm not sure if you still have that picture, Advocate Holders, of the accreditation that you gave him. Can you just give it back to him, please?
Joseph, it's exhibit 4.
4.6.
Put it together, Joseph, because mine's not stapled. I
Yeah.
don't understand.
The record also to be correctly reflected. The question is concerning exhibit 4.6.
It was 4.6, huh?
It's at page
4.6.
It's turned to, so it's on the same page.
That is correct.
Thank you.
When the driver showed Colonel Venter the accreditation, was he talking about that accreditation?
Yes.
Okay. You agree with me in that photo that you have on the dashboard, can you see any writing on there?
No, you can't.
You agree with me it is a square white object on the picture that we have in front of you?
Your Worship, this is an image from a video camera. And therefore, when you make an image out of a video camera, there's no way it can be explicitly clear. It's given. And therefore, even if I don't see the letters written here, we must accept how was this picture generated. And if it was generated from a video, then we know it can't be visible here.
I'm going to ask you again. On that picture
I can't
there,
see.
on that, you can't see.
I
Thank
can't
you.
see what is written there.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm putting to you that on that dashboard of that vehicle that you say is a permit, you say you can't see, but it looks like a square white object just on the picture. Do you agree with me?
I put it to you, I was there. I'm an eyewitness. I'm not hearsay. This was a permit put on the dashboard. And ordinarily, Your Worship, vehicle permits are put on the dashboards. But if you have never been a VIP, you will never understand what we're talking about.
I'm going to put it to you again. On that photo that you have in front of you, sir, putting it to you again, the object that we can see there, you said you can't see any writings on there, give you that. What we see there is just a white square object.
What I see here, Your Worship, it's a permit. Why? I'm an eyewitness. I was there. You see it on the pictures. That's not my fault. I was there. And the only person can be relied on what this is a person who was there, who's an eyewitness. That's how the courts work. Not hearsay and favoritism. I was there. What will this be if it's not a permit? Because if you look at ordinarily, I'm driving the same car. We can go to it now. There's nothing on the dashboard. Why would there be anything on the dashboard?
I'm going to ask this question again, and I'll ask the court to draw an inference. What I'm saying is, on the picture there that you have in front of you, that is evidence. On that picture, it is on there, it is a white square object.
On the picture here, Your Worship, is a permit.
How do you say it's a permit? You
I
can't
was
see any
there,
right.
I saw it.
But on that picture, sir, it is evidence.
You see, the problem is if you are there and you get to see something in the picture, you can relate. I can relate.
Okay.
You can't relate.
I am putting to you again, sir. None of us were there.
Yes.
You were there,
Yes.
Venter was there, all the other witnesses.
Yes.
Now I'm putting to you what we have in front of us as evidence. You say this, you can't see any writing, but on there, just looking at the dashboard, looking in the window, it is a white square object. That is the shape of the object. You agree with me? That is the shape of the object.
On the window is the
Yes.
permit.
Yes, but listen, it is a square white object. Am I right?
But listen, it's a permit.
I'm putting it to you again. It is a square white object that can be seen. I'm not asking if it's a permit or not. I'm asking the object.
I'm
That
putting
you
it to
see.
you, it's a permit.
You're not allowed to put to me anything, Your Worship. Can the
But
court
I'm doing-
please
I have-
explain?
Just one moment.
Thank
I have
you.
listened to the answers of the witness specifically when he says, I put it to you, but the court did not interpret it as a question that actually
Yes.
would require you to respond to the witness, but his answer is relating to answer your question which has been put to the witness. Therefore, I have not stopped it at all when you were asking. You may proceed, Ms. Hart.
May I proceed? Thank you, Your Worship. I will use it for argument. And that you say it's a permit, but in the picture that we have before us, it is a square white object. Okay. Did Colonel Venter speak to you in the vehicle?
No, He didn't speak to me.
Did he speak to accused number 2?
Accused number 2 is here, Your Worship. He will answer for himself.
I'm asking you were there, sir. Do you know or do you not know?
No, I'm not forced to answer that question. The accused number 2 is here. He will answer for himself.
Do you remember if Colonel Venter spoke to accused number 2?
Colonel Venter didn't speak to me.
Yes, now I'm asking
Yes.
you were sitting next to him. Was Colonel Venter speaking to accused 2? Do you know?
I don't know. Accused number 2 will speak for himself.
So Colonel Venter never spoke to you,
No.
okay?
Remember, you said, did Colonel Venter speak to you while you were in the vehicle?
Yes.
I said no.
Yes, we are still there, sir.
Yes.
Okay. When did you move out of the vehicle?
When Colonel Venter blocked the vehicle in front, I got out so that he can see and perhaps recognize me. And only then did I speak to Colonel Venter, asking him what is he doing.
When you asked on your version, that is not what the complainant said, but on your version, you said that you asked Colonel Venter what is he doing.
Yeah.
Were you now out of the vehicle? Were you standing
I'm
on the front
outside,
side?
in front.
In front where he was, according to you, blocking the
Yes,
vehicle?
yes.
Were you standing next to him?
Yes.
And Colonel Venter's reply, according to you?
No, he started speaking in Afrikaans. I don't know Afrikaans. Then that's when I realized there's no cooperation.
At that time, you say you realized there's no cooperation. He spoke in Afrikaans. Did you ask at that moment to speak to his senior?
No, I moved. I went to the driver's side, wanting to drive the car myself.
Sorry. I moved, sorry, continue.
I moved to the driver's side, wanting to drive the car myself.
I can't find it.
And then when I was on the driver's side, I saw some passerbys pushing him and asking him if he doesn't know who this person is.
Okay. You did not ask then to speak to a supervisor of
No.
Colonel Venter at that moment?
Not at all.
Okay. When you say you wanted to drive the vehicle yourself, did you get in the vehicle?
No, I didn't get in. When I was about to get into the vehicle, then that commotion started. Then I went to him, and then I pushed him.
Who's him, Colonel Venter?
Venter, yes.
Colonel Venter, okay. You say, which I just need to understand, bypassers was pushing him. What do you mean bypassers? Who's bypassers?
Some people I can't recognize.
People that were
Yeah,
there.
people who were part of the mourners. They could see that there is a situation there, and they recognized me. And then they asked him, "Don't you know who this person is?" And then when he could not cooperate, they pushed him. Then I came back from the driver's side, and I said to him, "Stop what you are doing," and I started pushing him.
So you came back from the driver's side.
Yes.
You were no longer with Colonel Venter. You
Yes.
then came back,
Yes.
and you also pushed
Yes.
Colonel Venter.
Yes, to move away from my car.
And before you pushed, some other people pushed him as well.
Yes. He says that in his own vision, even himself.
It's fine. I'm going on what you are saying. So other people pushed him, and then you decided to push him.
I
also.
came back to push him or no, stop what we are doing.
And when you say pushing, did you use your hands like this? How did
Yes,
you push him?
I use my hands like this.
If the court can just note the demonstration, Your Worship.
The
That
court
was
have
made.
observed that the witness before court have lifted up both his hands in front of it and showed with the forward direction that he have pushed the said witness. Mr. Houders, Ms. Hart.
Confirmed, Your Worship.
Ms. Hart.
And when these strangers or bypassers was pushing him, what did Colonel Venter do?
He didn't do anything. He keeps on blocking the car. I don't know whether he was being possessed or what, because Venter Because I've never seen police he blocked the car with his body, like this. He blocked the car with his body. You know, Your Worship, if we had a video of the outside before, because this one it starts showing where they are. It's a rail of the gate. If you will see the video outside, you will see what Colonel Venter was doing. He acted like a possessed person who was not reasoning at all.
Okay. So, these strangers are pushing him, you come back to push him. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you push him?
I wouldn't know. You know, when there is a commotion, you don't say, I'm pushing, push one, I'm pushing, push two, I'm pushing. There's no such a thing. You can't count them.
So, you did not count, but you know for a fact you pushed him.
It's undisputed.
You pushed him. And that time when you were pushing Colonel Venter, did he do anything to you?
Yes, he keeps on charging.
Charging how?
Like when you push him, Your Worship, he goes like this, like pushing back.
Oh.
I see you are making a movement regarding how we charge. Did he charge at you or back to the
at me.
vehicle? At you.
At me.
Just for record purpose, this is how the court have observed when the witness says that he was charging, and it is then referring to retaliation to the witness before court. Is that correctly observed? Thank you.
So when you pushed him, is he just doing this with his body?
No, he's
Was he
coming
using
with
his
his body. Like, the reason why he's pushing back is because he wants to stand in front of the car so that the car doesn't move.
Okay, so he just wants to stand in front of the car.
Yes.
Okay. Did he use his hands when you say charging or pushing? Did he use his hands
No,
to
no,
push
no.
you at all?
He never pushed me. He's using his body, refusing to move from the car. So you'll push him then he'll take 2 steps backward, then 2 steps forward again.
Oh, so he was not attacking you or any bystanders. He was just standing. He was refusing, according to your version, to be removed from the vehicle, the front part of the vehicle.
No, he was charging. Attack is something else, you know.
He was charging.
You don't have to attack. Sometimes you have to just charge by the body action. How you use your body can also be described as charging.
But
So when a person goes like, you can see that this person is not being friendly. So when I say charging, I mean he was not being friendly.
he was. Oh, you're saying now we need to have clarity on this charging, because now you're using the word he's not being friendly. Okay. You are pushing Colonel Venter.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he move a bit backwards when you pushed him?
Yeah, 1, 2 steps
1, 2
backward.
steps, and then he came forward again.
3
1 or 2,
steps forward.
3 steps forward. Is that what you mean by charging and his
Yes.
body?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, we just need to get that for the record, Your Worship. Okay, so Colonel Venter at that time never pushed you when he was moving 3 steps forward?
I've never made such an allegation.
No, I'm asking.
Yes, never pushed.
He's never pushed you. Okay. Now, you pushed him, he moved 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, he's there. We are there now. Okay? He now moving back 3 steps. Then what happened?
Then I think accused 2 and one of the protectors and those other people who were there, they all came. And then when he saw a lot of people now pushing him, he now started going back. He was no longer coming forward. I think he was realizing that he's actually attracting more people. And then we pushed him to the side.
Okay. So, okay, let's go back. Where you see the accused number 2 and the protectors, they all came. If you say they all came out of the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
Not all protectors. The driver was there.
The driver. So, okay.
There was
so
no one in the vehicle that time. It was only the driver.
only the driver. So accused 2 came out of the vehicle. How many protectors came out of the vehicle?
1.
1 protector
Yes.
came out of the vehicle.
Yes.
They all came. And when they came out of the vehicle, what is the protector's name, or can you use his name?
No.
Okay. So this protector and accused number 2, they came out. When they came out of the vehicle, what did they do?
No, they came to join me and these other people who were there. And then we all started pushing him. Remember here we're talking about well-built, highly trained Afrikaner male. And now we're just the piece, small bodies. were pushing. And when everybody joined, including
Yes.
these people we don't know, to push him, only then did he move to the side.
Okay.
And he stopped resisting.
So accused number 2 also pushed Colonel
Yes.
Venter when he
Yes.
got out of the vehicle,
Yes.
and the protector.
Yes.
Okay. So when they were pushing Colonel Venter, did you also push again, or did you not?
I pushed.
You
I was
pushed.
pushed. They joined me in the
So
pushing.
so the 3 of you that we know of, besides the bystanders
Yeah.
that we don't know, so the 3 of you and other bystanders, strangers, pushed Colonel Venter again.
Yes.
Okay. And when the 3 of you with the other strangers pushed Colonel Venter, did Colonel Venter push any of you or assault any of you at that time?
No.
Can you remember, if it's in your memory, if you can recall, how many more or less, besides the 3 of you, accused one and 2, and the protector, how many other strangers or bystanders were pushing?
I think we're, with us included, between 6 and 7.
6 and 7 people.
Yeah.
So when the 3 of you and the other people were pushing Colonel Venter, did you now push him away from the vehicle?
Yes.
Did Colonel Venter say anything while the pushing was going on, while you and accused 2 were pushing Colonel Venter? Did he say anything?
Venter was speaking in Afrikaans throughout.
So he was
So
speak-
I wouldn't pick up what he was saying.
So the first push, when you
No,
pushed him,
remember when I got out of the car,
You
I
were-
spoke to him, what are you doing?
yes,
And then he spoke in Afrikaans.
Yes, but now
When I left him, I
yes,
went to the
driver.
other side.
Yes,
When I was on the other side of the driver, the passerbys came and
yes,
started talking to him and say, you don't know who this person is.
Mm.
He kept on talking to them in Afrikaans and they started pushing him.
yes.
Then
And
I
then
came
you
back
came.
and then I joined them in the pushing.
Pushing, yes.
And then accused number 2 and the protector came.
Came.
And then that's how we managed to push him off the car.
Yes, I understand that. What I'm saying is, did he say anything? Remember, did he do anything back? He didn't
said
push you.
something,
Did he
yeah.
say? But when you were pushing him alone, when you went to push him alone, did he say anything to you at that time
Yes, he spoke.
in Afrikaans?
Yes.
But you don't know what he said.
Yes.
Okay.
But very angry.
Very
You
angry.
could see the facial expression. I might not hear the language, but he was not sending love.
Okay, he was not sending love. Is that so? Okay. And when accused 2 also now came and the protector also pushing, didn't do anything, but did he say anything?
He kept
that
on
time.
speaking in
Kept on
Afrikaans.
speaking Afrikaans.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, all 3 of you are now pushing him. When the 3 of you were pushing him, he was away from the vehicle.
Yes. We pushed him away from the vehicle.
Away from the vehicle. At that time, still, did you, when the accused number 2 and the protector came out of the vehicle, did you, at that moment, ask to speak to his supervisor or senior?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Do you know if accused number 2 asked to speak to his senior
I
or
don't know.
manager? Okay. But you did not ask. You did not ask to speak to a senior or
No, I
manager.
didn't ask to speak to any senior. But we spoke to those, I don't know what you call it, those uniform police.
That was standing here.
They are these guys. We kept on asking them, why are you folding your arms when this white man is blocking us from attending Mama's funeral?
Okay.
Because you can all see that he's misbehaving.
Okay.
They all pleaded with us, please go back to the car, leave him.
So these in military uniforms, navy uniforms, they pleaded for you to go back in the vehicle.
Yes, they are the ones that we spoke to. We didn't, by virtue of uniforms, we thought there is some seniority there. So we engaged them. We said, why are you not blocking this white man? Because you can also see, Your Worship, they are not joining him. They are just standing there because they are puzzled by his behavior. And we said to them, why do you allow this white man to stop us from attending Mama's funeral? And you are just standing there. They
Yes.
said, please, 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 just go back to the car. Go back to the car and go inside.
Okay. But what I want to know from you, when the accused two and the protector joined in the pushing, at that time you did not ask to speak to a senior.
But Your Worship, I answered that question. The court must protect me. I said, I never asked to speak to any senior.
Thank you.
And I don't know if the accused number 2 asked to speak to any senior. I'm playing an open card. I've got
Thank
nothing
you.
to hide.
Thank you. Okay, so you never spoke to any senior. Okay. I'm going to play the footage for you. Just pause, Mr. Baba. The protector you're talking about, is it the person with the umbrella?
No, 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 no.
Was he not the protector you're talking about? It's not him. Okay. Play, Mr. Baba. Stop quickly. Just go quickly. Just go quickly. Okay. Stop, stop. Go quickly. Stop. Stop. I'm just asking to focus there. Just need to move to the mic. There's a person in between you and Colonel Venter, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it seems Colonel Venter is moving to the side of the vehicle.
That's what I told you. When
You
you
pushed
push
him.
him, he goes back. You push him, he goes back.
But at,
That's what he's doing.
yes, but at that time he's now being pushed to the side of the vehicle on that side. Okay, continue, Mr. Baba. Stop, stop. Okay, play. Can you play it in slow mode? It's too fast. Okay, it's fine.
Do you see where we are? We are there, and then we're going back to the car. We were at the car, away from the car, and then we're going back to the car.
We're gonna-
Because that's what Fender is doing.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna play the
Yeah.
whole video for you. We are just on that side. Do you see that there is someone?
The police.
That's a police
Yes.
officer.
Yes.
You see that this police officer is holding up her hands. And now Colonel Venter is now moving on the side to the front. And you are now following again. Please don't say,
yes, yes.
Thank you, thank you. Stop, Mr. Baba. You are pushing him again there.
Yes.
Okay? Now, it seems that accused number 2 is now coming as well.
I see him there at the back.
Yes. Do you see that the police officer's hand is still up? Is she saying anything to you at that time? Can you remember?
I can't even remember that there were police there.
It seems to me that you were also angry. You see, you
I was
putting your
very
face-
angry.
Yes.
Very angry. And I had all the reasons to be very angry.
And you were also not friendly.
Yes, I
Yes.
was very angry.
Okay.
He had no reason to be angry. I don't even think he liked Winnie Mandela.
Do you know that Colonel Venter was trying to contact the VOC, the Venue
No,
Operation
no.
Center?
How do you contact the folk with your hands like this?
No, I'm asking you.
No,
Okay.
he was not contacting any
He was not, and you heard when he testified, he said at that time that he was trying to get hold of the VOC in order to see if your vehicle can enter.
folk. Okay, Your Worship, what are you doing contacting the folk if this car has got no right, or these people, no right to enter there? There's no reason to contact the folk. They either have the right or they don't have the right. So contacting the VOC is another defense mechanism which must not be accepted. Two things. You either, this car is allowed or it's not allowed. You don't call anyone. You make that decision alone. They never said, and he never said himself, that their instruction is if they are in doubt about a car, they must call Vogue. There was never such an instruction.
You heard when Colonel Venter testified. I'm saying when he testified. On the evidence in court, he's saying that he's trying to get hold of Vogue. You heard him testify that?
Yes.
Okay. Stop, Mr. Baba. You see now, you see the radio.
I don't see the radio, but I can see his hand is holding something there.
He's something.
Yes.
He testified it's a radio, it's a two-way radio. I asked him,
Yes.
that's what he testified.
Yes.
Now, he is, since this object, the radio that he said, it's now in front of him by his mouth. Okay. Now we can see also the facial expression of accused number 2. He was also very furious.
Yes.
Not friendly.
Yes.
Yes. So now, at that point, can you see what the police officer is doing? Yeah. If you can't see, you can
I
come
can
closer.
see. I can see.
Ah.
It's blocking the person with the umbrella.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you can see from Colonel Venter's body language, he's not coming towards your side. He's at the side of both you and accused number 2.
He can't be trusted.
Yes, but I'm saying on the footage, sir.
Yeah, on the footage
Yes,
side, you know, the reality and the footage is something else, because as he speaks, we are not sure if he wants to come back to the vehicle or he's walking away. So we are acting to prevent him from coming back to the vehicle.
Okay. I'm going to go again.
Yes.
We are just going on the video footage. This is admitted. It's real evidence. So, at this moment in time, the accused has a radio in front of his mouth. The complainant has a radio in front of his mouth. Thank you, Mr. Otis. And his side is towards you and accused number 2.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Play, Mr. B. Stop. Can you go a bit back? You are now pushing him against the wall, the
Yes.
guardhouse. There is still, just in his hand, the radio
Yes.
is still in his hand. Okay. Stop, Mr. Baba. At this stage, you are now, what are you saying? It seems you are very angry. I know you said a lot, but can you remember what you said?
That's unfair. I mean, this is how many years now? 4 years? I wouldn't remember what I said there.
You
It's a
wouldn't?
commotion.
But you were angry
Yes.
and you were shouting. Okay.
Yes.
At this time, you see that the vehicle is moving in the cemetery. Do you agree with me?
Exactly what we wanted to achieve.
The
By
vehicle?
pushing him aside to allow the vehicle to pass.
Okay. But at this point, I can see the military people on this side by Colonel Venter. Somebody is this person. Military uniform seems as his arms here by Colonel Venter. And the police is coming to accused number 2's side. You are pointing a finger. Okay. So everybody's face, so everybody's concentrating on what's happening with you, accused 2 and Colonel Venter. But while this is happening, play Mr. Baba, the vehicle is moving in. Who do you perhaps know at this point gave permission for the vehicle to enter?
Now, let's correct one thing. You say everybody is concentrating on us.
Yes.
And then that the guy next to Venter seemed to be putting his hands on Venter. A neutral prosecutor will say, who's not biased, will say the guy is holding back Venter because that's what he's doing. And therefore it takes away the story that everybody is concentrating on you. He's being held back because they've all come to accept that his behavior is unacceptable.
We don't know that, sir.
No.
No,
In
but continue.
the police practice is such that when a police officer is under attack, all of them join hands in defense of that police officer. They are standing there. They are not doing anything. If anything, your worship, they are holding him back because he's embarrassing them.
I'm so glad you said that because the 2 officers was putting up their hand in front of you were moving as Colonel Venter is pushing. They were moving to the side of Colonel Venter. So they were trying to do something, sir, on the video footage. They were trying to intervene to stop the pushing taking place by you and accused number 2.
No, all I'm saying is that you can't see that Venter is being held back.
Okay.
That one you conveniently miss.
Okay, it's fine. But on this video footage, all we know is, we don't know who that person is, we don't have his testimony, all we
Yes.
can see is his hands is on Colonel Venter
But-
on the video footage.
Okay.
Is that correct?
No, it's being held back because, you see, the problem, Your Worship, is that to play and stop, when you have stopped, it's no longer in motion. But when it's in motion, you can see that he's holding him back. He doesn't have to tell us he's holding back.
Okay, please.
We can see with our naked eye.
Okay. Let's go back, Mr. Baba, and see if Colonel Venter is moving to you or moving forward. He's moving behind another
see?
person. He's still on the radio.
You see?
There we go. Just stop there, Mr. Baba.
After you just said everybody's on us, all 3
Yes.
police officers are on him.
But let's move there. That was not my question. We will get there, sir. We will get there in time. What I'm saying here, you can go back, Mr. Baba, while everybody was dealing on the commotion side, this vehicle moved in. Do you know if the vehicle, if anybody gave the driver permission to enter at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Who gave permission, do you know?
No, subs, when they approved it at the lodge.
At
and
the
then
lodge.
it went to the stadium and it went to the cemetery.
Okay. I'm asking only here, at this
You
moment
didn't need anyone to
in
give
time.
you the permission there. That permission is carried through.
Okay.
You require nobody's permission
Okay.
when you arrive there.
I'm going to put it to you. At this moment, just here, you can go back if you want, please, Ms. Baba. At this time, this vehicle is driving through. Let's look at the vehicle. It's coming. You are shouting. Q2 also. Colonel Venter's on the radio. There the vehicle stops. At this time, you can stop, Ms. Baba. I'm putting to you, at this time, while the commotion was going on, this vehicle just drove in.
Yes, because
Thank-
it had the right to do so.
That's what you're saying.
It required no Venter's permission.
Okay. That's what you're saying. But you do agree with me that Colonel Venter was in charge of the main gate.
No.
Was he not?
No, it's not for me to agree or to disagree. That's
But
what
I'm-
he says.
But I'm putting to you that Colonel Venter's job description on the day in question was to be in charge of the main gate. Can you dispute that?
No, I won't dispute it. It's your vision.
Thank you. So, like Officer Mapisa now testified, he is now there by accused number 2. His hand is on accused number 2. So, play wait a bit.
But let's clarify something here, Your Worship.
Okay.
Being in charge of the gate, it doesn't mean you issue out permissions. You are in charge of the gate to allow those with the permit to go in and those who don't have the permit to be given a direction to where they need to park. Colonel Venter never said to me or to the driver, drop off here and go that side. He never said that. So, to be in charge of the gate, you don't issue permits. It's not your responsibility. So I don't know what it means to be in charge of the gate. Because once a permission has been issued, no one can stop it, including a person who's in charge of the gate. Your job is just to make sure accredited vehicles go in and those who are not accredited are directed at their relevant place.
Okay. You agree with me, Colonel Venter is standing close to the guardhouse.
Come again?
Colonel Venter is standing by the guardhouse.
By the guardhouse.
guardhouse.
Yes.
Okay. The 2 police officers, I see there's another police officer, play Mr. Baba, standing with Colonel Venter.
There are 3.
There are 3, yes. Play Mr. B.
So,
Stop.
Your Worship, if there was something wrong we're doing, there are 3 uniformed police officers. and there is Colonel Venter who is allegedly under attack, unfairly so, why would the police not act on us there and there? They are with him there, and the only reasonable suspicion would be they are saying to him, leave what you are doing.
Okay.
Because if we're misbehaving, I can tell you now, without any shadow of doubt, police would have pounced on us there and there.
Okay. That we will leave for now, okay? But you can play.
And there, one of the things I suspect we're saying is exactly what I was saying to you. You can see we're talking to those army people. We're saying to them, why do you allow him to misbehave? Why do you leave this white man to ill-treat us the way he's doing, and you are all here just standing?
Okay.
All they could say is, guys, please, 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 just go inside the car and go inside.
But you agree with me, Colonel Venter is now standing almost next to or close to the guardhouse. There's 3 officers standing with him,
Yes.
female officers. And 2 of the female officers that we saw previously were moving as you were pushing. One's putting up the hand. It seems that this person trying to say stop, trying to intervene, but they were moving as you and accused were pushing Colonel Venter, accused number 2. Is that correct? They were moving along with you, accused number 2, and Colonel Venter. They were moving along as both of you were pushing him.
Yeah, but for a neutral prosecutor, when they put hands on us, they say stop. But when they put hands on him, they are just laying hands on him.
Okay,
What an
but
objective prosecutor.
it's fine. So we are talking
Can I
about
just
the
have order?
ladies.
No laughing in court.
We are talking about the 3 officers in police uniform, sir. You agree with me? They were trying to intervene with the pushing.
They
of you.
did.
Yes.
They
thank you.
intervened.
Okay. Now Colonel Venter is standing there with the 3 officers playing Mr. Baba. Accused 2 is putting his hands on Officer Mapisa.
And
Officer
it was
Mapisa is escorting him
Officer
in the vehicle.
Mapisa who said here, accused number 2 kept on saying, why do you leave this white man to stop us from entering?
That is in evidence, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So do you see Colonel Venter is still standing by the guardhouse?
Yes.
There's a lot of the 3 officers was next to him, gonna stand in the middle, and then there was military people in front of him. You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Play Mr. Baba. At that time, before you got into the vehicle, in this vehicle now, did you ask at that time to speak to a senior
No.
of Colonel Venter? You did not ask. You got in the vehicle and accused 2 and drove in. The same. Don't say, just say yes.
Sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Continue, Mr. Baba. Okay. Did you speak, were you a speaker at the cemetery? At the cemetery?
No.
You were not a speaker
At the,
you
at
were
the stadium.
at the Orlando Stadium, but not this.
No.
You were not. Okay.
No. There are no speakers at the cemetery, by the way.
I'm just asking. It might have happened. We don't know. Okay. I'm going on your version, okay?
Yes.
What you're saying. Before you got out of the vehicle to speak to Colonel Venter, okay? You wanted to speak to him to solve the issue. You wanted to speak to Colonel Venter to solve the issue. Don't say,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
okay. Was your life possibly in danger?
My
From-
life.
Yes. Your
No,
life,
my life was not in danger.
your life was not in
No.
danger. did it make you angry, according to your version, that a complainant, Colonel Venter, was speaking Afrikaans when you were trying to engage with him?
Not necessarily.
But you said you couldn't understand him.
Yeah, not understanding doesn't mean I will be angry.
Were you not
mean,
angry?
The white supremacists always speak in Afrikaans.
Always speaking Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Okay. Your life was not in danger. When you remember, you said you went to the driver's side. Don't.
Yes.
Thank you. Was your life?
You know, ma'am, sometimes when
Yes.
I say this,
Yes.
it's that I'm following, and
Yes.
then when you conclude, I will say
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's just I don't
That
know.
is also, sorry to
Yes.
interject, that is also how I understand, because
Yes.
I'm also waiting for the question to finish before there's a response.
Yeah, so I just
But
go like
yes.
this so that when you finish, I say
Okay.
Just for record
Thank you,
purpose,
Your
I will
Worship.
not draw any negative
Yes.
inference from that aspect in this
I'm-
regard, because as I've indicated,
Yes.
it's also how I understood.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Mr.
I'm scared because I see him, and I'm not sure if he's saying yes, and then it's not recorded, Your Worship. That is the
Yes, we
issue
will
of the
wait for
record.
the conclusion
Yes.
of the question, and then we'll take
Okay.
it from there. Thank you.
When you went to the driver's side, you are going now back to Colonel Venter to push him. Was your life in danger at that moment, sir?
no, not at all.
Not at all. When accused number 2 came out with the protector to push Colonel Venter, the complainant, was your life or his accused number 2's life in danger at any point?
No. Our dignity was in danger.
Your dignity.
Our humiliation was going to be the order of the day. Our enemies will derive pleasure out of the fact that we were denied an opportunity to bury our mother. That was in danger. Our ability to have closure with Mama Mandela was in danger. And in our culture, everything else matters except the burial site. Your Worship, the most critical moment for any funeral is when the coffin goes down and you know that it is what it is and it will never change again.
Okay.
I will not have find it in me and forgive myself if I had not seen Winnie's casket going down where I will say my last goodbyes. That was what was in danger. My
But-
dignity is equally important,
But
the
of course-
same as my life is. So my life not being in danger, I cannot allow indignity to be directed at me, and I do not do anything in self-defense to defend my dignity.
According to Colonel Venter, and he testified you were here, he said that he had an issue with the vehicle that you were in, that the vehicle was not accredited, did not have a permit. And that is why he stopped the vehicle.
It is not correct. It moved from us not being accredited. Then it went to the car not being accredited. Then it went from the car, even if accredited, will not allow it to enter. Different versions on what was in dispute have been presented here by himself, which the court has noted during the judgment of 174.
Okay. So, you were talking about Ubuntu.
Yes.
Did you want to apologize at any stage to Colonel Venter?
No, I wanted to have a conversation with him, Your Worship, and ask what went wrong, what necessitated that, and if the need arose for me to apologize, I would have done that without hesitation. The same to him I would expect, of course, that if he realizes that he made a mistake, he will apologize at that point. But he refused that opportunity because his supremacism will not allow him to meet these monkeys.
Did you contact personally? Did you contact the complainant personally?
Once you have opened a case, it's always safe to use lawyers to contact the complainant, because I do not want to, Your Worship, be accused of intimidating the witness. So I used my lawyers to contact the complainant.
Okay. You agree with me that it is the complainant's right as a complainant in a criminal case for him to decide whether he wants to settle the matter out of court or go to court?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It is his right, and it all depends also on our upbringing. We have never been taught to rush matters to court. When we were growing up, Your Worship, if we did anything wrong to each other, you will have the parents of the other one going to the house of the person who's wronged, or the other way around. Only when you can't find each other, you can then approach the police. That's what has made our society to be a unique society, where we are able to resolve issues amicably without the involvement of the police. But it doesn't take away the right that you have a right to open a criminal case.
Thank
It's
you.
Mandela's spirit
Thank
of
you.
Ubuntu, where he forgave people who took him to prison for 27 years. Why would you not want to forgive a person who blocked you from entering your mother's funeral?
But you agree with me, like you said, he has a right to open a case or not to open a case, or
Not
to
in
sort it out.
dispute.
Not in dispute. Thank you. I'm just going to go to Officer Mapisa
Yes.
that testified. He testified that your vehicle was not part of the convoy and that he stopped your vehicle.
He has never stopped my vehicle.
Did he not stop the vehicle?
No. Remember, Your Worship, I wrote a statement without knowing that Mapisa is going to be a witness here. And I indicated what transpired. And in majority of what I said, it's not in dispute. So if he had blocked my vehicle, I would have known and I would not have missed that opportunity.
But he said, what I find very strange is that that is how he knew who you were. That is why he allowed the vehicle to go to the gate to Colonel Venter's side. Because he stopped the vehicle, he saw you were in the vehicle, he recognized you.
You know, my sister, Your Worship, it pains me that you will have an NPA that couches people to behave in a manner that he behaved. Mapisa's statement, it's a true reflection of what happened, Your Worship. Why would Mapisa forget conveniently that he stopped me? He doesn't speak about any stopping of me in his original statement, to a point where the prosecution became so disparate and wanted to cross-examine their own witness. If we did not have smart lawyers who would have been shortcutted, and the next thing Mapisa made to denounce his own statement clearly. And I think it's a matter that we should not leave lying down. A complaint should be laid, an investigation should be made as to what really transpired between the statement and the consultation that happened with Mapisa, where he comes here and denounces his own statement. He didn't denounce it anyway. He confirmed that his statement is a correct version of what happened, and still confirmed that his court version, which contradicts the statement, is a correct version. It's for the court to take a decision.
Yes, it's for the court, I agree with you. And he has explained why he said what he said to the court. He was cross-examined by advocate holders, and he gave an explanation to the court. Now, what I find just strange, sir, is the fact that he recognized who you were when he stopped you. He didn't look for any accreditation or any sort. He just saw you and he recognized who you were. and without looking for any permits on your side, personal, that's around your neck, or the vehicle for any sort, he allowed the vehicle in just based because of who you are.
It's a pure lie.
It's a
And,
pure
and
lie.
that's what you should be worried about.
Hmm.
Because even in the statement of accused number 2, there's nowhere where we say there was an officer who stopped us before, and then he recognized us, and then he released us. That can serve very well for our defense. That there was one person who was given a task of blocking vehicles. He blocked us. Upon realizing it is us, he released us because he's a black person, blah, blah. Then the white person stopped us. That could have been a very good defense for us. But because it didn't happen, we didn't mention it. You can look at my statement. You can look at the accused number 2 statement. You can look at Venter's statement himself. Nowhere does he say, no, they were stopped before and then referred to me. There's no such a thing. He never stopped us. The stopping, I'm telling you, your worship, he was couched with it in consultation with the prosecution.
Okay. You've said that earlier. And I will move on because he has testified he just recognized you. He didn't stop you. He didn't ask for accreditation. He allowed you to move to Colonel Venter. And he also testified Colonel Venter was in charge of the main gate.
That is not in dispute.
Okay. And you testified as well that you've never met Colonel Venter,
Neither did I meet
Officer Mapisa.
Officer Mapisa.
Pisa, never
Venter, I
before.
was meeting for the second time, your worship. I met him at the gate, and then I met him here. Mapisa, I met him for the first time here. I've never met him before.
Okay.
I've never met him before. Why would I lie about someone who stopped me and said to me, pass? It works in my favor. That why would another officer see it correct for me to pass and another officer not see it correct for me to pass, yet they are saving the same law?
Okay.
But equally, why would he miss such an important aspect of stopping us? Because the issue here, your worship, is us being stopped and us not cooperating. Why would he miss that in his statement?
That is for the court to decide. Argument will be given. Your attorney will know what to do.
It is also for me to bring it to the attention of the court.
So, but he has said and he's explained. And he said that he just allowed you in based on who you are. If he didn't stop the vehicle, he would not have known who was in the vehicle. And you agree with me on the footage that I've played, that your vehicle was behind the BMW X5s with the blue lights.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't understand, why do you only recognize the blue lights in the 2 vehicles when the vehicles that went before those 2 had no blue lights? You don't bring it to the attention of the court, objective and neutral prosecutor, that your worship, there are vehicles that are passing, you can see them, they don't have blue lights. After these ones which don't have blue lights, they are the ones of the blue lights, then Malema without blue lights.
Were you, see that everything happened, the assault and everything that happened here on the day in question, were you late for the cemetery, for the proceedings? When you went inside, remember the vehicle drove in, I'm just...
No, we're not late because remember the hash
Yes.
had to park on the side with the coffin. But it will be incorrect for us to arrive late because by the time the coffin comes, we should all be seated.
Yes.
Yes, so that's what we're pushing for.
Okay. But you were, so the hearse was still coming behind? Okay.
The hash was still coming,
was
yes,
still
with
coming.
the parade.
So my question that I want to ask is, if Colonel Venter just wanted to speak to Vok or his superior or his senior to ask about the vehicle, he could have gotten an answer very quickly. I'm putting it to you, that would not have made you late. This whole, if Colonel Venter could have just called the VOC, got permission, none of this would have happened.
You don't need VOG. You need a permit. He doesn't have to call VOG. You either have a permit or you don't have a permit. And a decisive, disciplined police officer will tell you, go back. You are parking that sign. There's no need for VOG at all. So the story of the VOG doesn't exist. In the protocol of permits, you go for your car to be security checked. Once it's security checked, Your Worship, it can't even go to the garage. It goes straight to the designated area under police protection, which is what happened with us. Then we're dropped at the stadium. From the stadium, we joined the convoy under police protection to the cemetery. So we don't need VOG. You don't need VOG. Once a vehicle arrives there and it doesn't have a permit, it's going to be sent away.
But on this day, that is not what Colonel Venter is saying. I understand you explaining maybe what normally happens, and I get you. But on this specific day, Colonel Venter had an issue with the vehicle. Not you, not accused number 2. He had an issue with the vehicle. According to him, the vehicle was not part of the convoy. So now this vehicle came after the X5 BMW. He wanted permission from the VOC to see if your vehicle can come in.
And Your Worship, I'm not asking anybody a question because I know I'm not here to ask questions, but the question arises. Why didn't he say the car, because they say he doesn't have a problem with me, doesn't have a problem with accused number 2, but he didn't put any evidence here that he said, you guys can go in, the vehicle will have to go park on the other side. He's never said that because he's got a problem with us. That's how it's done all the time. Inauguration of the president, opening of parliament, where the president is, they are designated areas for designated dignitaries. And if you don't have the vehicle registration, they said, you know, Mr. Malema, you can come, 2 of you can come, but the vehicle will have to go and park on the other side. He never said that. He just blocked the car. I went out deliberately, hoping that he will recognize me and say, no, it's okay. You go in. This vehicle must go back. Because, Your Worship, there were people who were entering, walking. They were not driving. He could have just said to us, join this, you go forward, let this car go and park on the other side. There was never such an argument. If anything, they say he was calling VOG. VOG for what?
To ask permission for your vehicle to enter, sir.
Okay, but because I've got the right to enter, why is he not saying I must enter?
He's talking about the vehicle.
But why am I being stopped? I'm also a vehicle now.
No.
I'm not a vehicle.
You
I'm
are
not
a
a vehicle.
person.
The argument, Your Worship, is he should have said, which he didn't say, Mr. Malema, Mr. Ndlozi, you guys can walk in, the vehicle must go and park at an area that is designated for vehicles that are not accredited. He couldn't say that because he knew we're rightfully there. But I want us to bear this in mind, that, and we must not lose this sight. Here is a vehicle that is not accredited, that has got no right to be there. It pushes through, it goes in, gets to park with president's vehicles, former president, heads of states, and then you sit there throughout your worship. No problem at all. The reason why these cars do go through security check is because you must not bomb those dignitaries. Now this car goes in, attends throughout the ceremony, and there's no problem, it finishes everything, it leaves. There's no way in the discipline of Presidential Protection Unit and VIP protection that a car that is not discredited and has not passed the security check, for a second, it can spend time with President's vehicles. Why? If if there's something wrong with it, Your Worship, why didn't they follow us up? Say, no, leave here, we're going to catch them inside. They didn't do that. Nothing happened.
Colonel approached the driver. When he testified, he went to the driver, informed and the driver said the leader of the EFF, named Malema, was inside the vehicle. He testified that is what the driver said. He said, I looked to the back of the vehicle and I did see Malema, Mr. Malema was inside the vehicle. I greeted Mr. Malema, he testified, and then informed Mr. Malema that the vehicle cannot enter. That is what he testified.
You never greeted me. Greeted me how? The first time me and him interacted was outside.
And he said that you were more than welcome to walk inside. That is what he said.
Who could have walked inside?
Yes.
Who could? If he had said that, the way we were so eager to attend the funeral, we could have walked inside. We're not obsessed with vehicles. There's nothing special about that vehicle.
Yes, but
So-
he said that you can walk inside.
No, he didn't say that.
He did not say that.
No,
Okay.
he didn't say that.
And you, when he said that you are welcome to walk in, you said, I will not walk in, I will drive in. That's what Colonel Venter testified, you said.
That is his imagination.
Is that so? Okay. Your Worship, I'm just looking at the time. Can the court... I still
How
have-
many questions you
I still
have?
have a few questions, Your Worship, so I'm not sure.
I think we can still proceed until quarter to 3 at least, so let's see how far. Unless there's anything else in terms of administration work for the clerks.
I'm looking, but it did indicate to me, Your Worship, so I'm looking.
It's fine, quarter to 3?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe we should spend each and
Okay.
every minute to this case to get it finalized. Yes, you can be excused. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hart.
May I proceed, Your Worship?
Yes.
Thank you. He said that you can sit if you want to, sir.
No, I wanted to drink water.
Okay, it's fine. Oh, you're done. He testified. He said, Colonel Venter then said that he moved to the front part of, or the front part or the side of the vehicle. He was standing with his back towards the vehicle. Is that so? Do you-
The front,
the-
he was like this.
so his front was facing
The chest
the
was
vehicle.
on the windscreen.
Oh, was his whole body lying with his hands open?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
with his
in them-
chest on the...
Yeah,
Can I just get clarity? That is not on the video.
no.
So that have happened prior to what we have
Yes,
seen.
Your Worship, what you see here is when now we're pushing him
That-
away.
Yes.
But we had spent a lot of time outside the camera. So where you are starting to see us is where we're pushing, but where is blocking the car
It's
or
not
even
on-
stopping the car, you can't see. It's not on the video, conveniently.
Your Worship, let me continue.
Yes.
Thank you, Worship. So, let me understand you correctly now. His hands is stretched out.
Yes.
And his chest, his body, his upper body, is literally lying on the vehicle
Yes.
of your vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I used the word that he was possessed.
Possessed.
Yeah, because I've never been in dealing with police for a very long time. I've never seen a policeman behave like that. You know, if anything, he will try take a cone, put in front of the vehicle, so that you don't go past. They'd never block a car with their body. There's always a mechanism. One of such mechanisms is to put a cone, or alternatively, you close the gate.
Okay. And possibly you can ask his senior what is going on questioning the vehicle. There's another option. You can ask a senior, like you wanted to call VOC. What I'm saying is he could also maybe speak to his senior to inquire about the vehicle that you were in. That's also a possibility.
You don't talk to your senior on your own. Isn't it you must say to us, guys, you wait here, let me call my senior, VOC, to check if you must come in or not. He never said that to us. I'm just saying, Your Worship, you come to a car, who's in this car? No, Julius Malema. The next thing, you go on radio, you're calling VOC without telling these people I'm calling VOC. The decency would be, okay, there's a problem with your vehicle, let me call VOC or something like that. He never said that.
But he testified, sir. He said, I said I will first get permission from VOC. He said he wants to, but he was speaking to the driver.
No, I would have picked it up. Remember that the reason I got out first was for him to recognize me. Because at the back of my mind, once he sees it's me, then he'll realize he's making a mistake. It looks like once he saw me, he became more agitated.
But he recognized you when you were in the vehicle because the driver said, I'm driving the leader of the EFF. So he recognized you.
No, you can't recognize me. So Viano is like this. The driver is there, and I'm at the back. So for you to recognize me in the Viano, you have to put your head inside the car, and then you will see me at the back. So to say you recognized me in a Viano, not even from the windscreen in front, Your Worship, because it's tinted. So when you look at it from the front, it's all dark inside. And then when you are talking from the driver's side, you can't see who's at the back. I know this because all the time they ask, who are you driving? They say Julius Malema. Then they start putting their heads inside, wanting to see who's inside the car. So he didn't do that. He didn't recognize me. That's why I said, let me go outside and speak to him. My hope was that he will recognize me and realize he's making a mistake.
But sir, he did testify in court, and he said, I did look through to the back of the vehicle, and I did see that Mr. Malema was inside the vehicle. I greeted Mr. Malema. He said, I did look to the back of the vehicle. He recognized you.
I dispute that because he doesn't even remember how many people were in the vehicle, by the way.
You dispute that? Okay.
Remember, he said there were 3 people.
He said there was 3 people, and Officer Mpisa also just noted 3 people in the vehicle.
And
That's not correct, Your Worship. Officer Mpisa didn't know how many people in the vehicle. I can give you the reference.
As he spots.
Your Worship, I am in disagreement, Your Worship. He did say that there were 3 people that he saw in the vehicle, Your Worship.
The court will allow it for later, or will rule on it at a later stage after confirming so.
Thank you, Your Worship.
For not delaying the proceedings any further, I will allow you to ask the question. But if the court has confirmed that you are not correct, such question and answer will be deleted from the record. You may proceed.
Your Worship, it is not in dispute that there was a bodyguard. It is actually brought to the attention of the court by them that a person who appears like Malema's bodyguard then came out. Then how can they be Malema's bodyguard and be the driver and be Ndlozi and be Malema and then remain 3? And from how it works, generally is the driver and the bodyguard. So it doesn't work like that. It is you who brought it to the attention of this court. You even asked me a question now. Is this the bodyguard? So if there was a bodyguard and then there was a driver, then there was the 2 of us. I know I'm very bad with mathematics, but we are 4 already.
Oh, you 4, okay.
So the reference, just for my learned friend to check this, he disagreed with me, is the transcript of the 7th of April 2022, page 49. It's my footnote number 202 in my heads of argument.
Thank you.
Your Worship, I will check Your Worship, because I am of the opinion that he said there was 3. I will check that later, Your Worship,
Yes,
just
you
for
may do so.
the sake of progress, Your Worship.
Yes.
There was a lady officer, remember the 2 female officers that was following the 2 of you when you were pushing Colonel Venter? Then there came a 3rd person that was standing with Colonel Venter, a 3rd person.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who that person?
I don't know them. All 3 of them, I don't know them.
You don't know who that person is. That person is General Zulu,
Yes.
okay? Colonel Venter testified that General Zulu said, leave, leave. Did you hear that from General Zulu? Did you hear she said that?
But in that video, you can see the lady who came 3rd is actually standing by the guardhouse with Venter, and I'm on the other side. It was impossible for me to hear leave, leave.
You didn't hear? Okay. I'm going to ask you about the VOC. Did you know that on this specific day, on the day of the incident, that there was a VOC? Did you know that? On this day only?
I wouldn't know what is a vogue if it's not explained in full, Your Worship, because I don't want to agree to things I don't understand.
Colonel Venter explains the venue operation center. He said he wanted to get permission from the VOC. It's his seniors who is on the VOC. My question is, did you know about the VOC on the day of the incident?
No, not at all.
Okay. You heard Colonel Venter testify that he did not see any visible permit on the vehicle. And he said that he would have still stopped the vehicle because it wasn't part of the convoy.
I had that.
And you agree with me, you came after the X5.
Yes. There is no convoy that says if you come after X5, you're not part of the convoy.
Please, as the court, Your Worship. At this point, I've got no questions for the witness, Your Worship.
You sure? No further questions?
No further questions at this time.
Okay, just before I allow re-examination, I believe Ms. Hart indicated that she does not have any further question, but we are still left with the issue that the court needs to rule on what the state have said. So if I don't rule at this stage, it will then not be procedural to allow re-examination. So the court will rule on that statement, which has been put, and the question was with relationship to how many people was in the vehicle, whether there was 3 or 4 people. That was also the questions which was put to Mr. Mapisa in this regard. And at first, Mr. Mapisa's answer was to the aspect that there was 1 or 2 people plus the driver in the vehicle. And then it was further put by Mr. Holders that there was 4 people, and his answer was, I cannot dispute that.
Yes,
So
Your Worship.
he cannot remember, and therefore the court will not allow that question to 4 people was in the vehicle to stand. The court will rule. So, Mr. Elders, you may proceed with re-examination.
Thank you, Worship. That reduces it to only 2 issues that I have, if I may, Your Worship. Mr. Malema, you were asked now about the VOC. What I want to put you in, which is in part of the argument, is that Mr. or Colonel Bronkhorst testified, and he said as follows. I just want to give you the references so that there can be no dispute about it. He testified that on the day in question, and I just want to give you the position that he held. He was the acting section head for incident management at the Protection and Security Services at the SAPS. And on the record, page 74, dated 9th of March 2021, he said that he was in the VOC, the Venue Operational Center. And the important aspect that I want to put to you, sir, is that he testified, he conceded on the cross-examination that being at the VOC, he hadn't heard from the complainant until 17:15, even though this incident had taken place at 15:44. Your Worship, the reference is transcript, 9th of March 2021, pages 128 and 129, in my heads of argument, paragraph 31.23. So now, we know the incident took place, as you see on the video, at 15:44. Colonel Bronco said he never heard from Colonel Venter until 17:15. Do you have any comments, sir?
Well, Your Worship, it makes that point of him being on the radio when he was talking to us, being on radio and communicating with folk. That argument falls off. Because if he was on the radio talking to folk during our time, it will be exactly around this time. So now his own colleagues say he has never called, we didn't hear from him until after 5 o'clock. So, and it confirms my version that he has never been on any radio. He has not been attempting to do anything. If anything, he was acting like a person who's possessed and completely out of profession.
My last aspect, so I'm going to watch you ask you to watch the videos my learned friend did, but I'm going to ask you, because it's difficult to focus on everything, focus on the 3 police ladies in uniform.
Yes.
And then my question after the video will be, who are they holding back, you or the complainant? Will you please watch? For the record, you see the vehicles arriving. You can see the one police lady on the right-hand side of the screen at the moment.
And for the record, they do not have blue lights. Many of those who passed, only these ones have blue lights. No blue lights.
For the record, the front ones have blue lights, and then the
Yes.
stream of vehicles that don't.
No blue lights.
Right. Well, if you just... No, no, it's on the fast.
And for the record, Your Worship, blue lights does not mean accreditation. Even ministers on that day had to be accredited. That's why some of them went to the stadium through shuttle. They had to park somewhere and get into a bus. Yet they've got blue lights. So blue lights does not mean accreditation.
see the vehicles arriving. You see the police lady on the right-hand side in a blue uniform. And 15:45. That's the last aspect. There's the other police lady arriving also to the right-hand side. Do you confirm?
Yes.
Right. Now, in the confrontation, I want you to see whom they hold back. You, Colonel Venter, or anybody else? Come to 2 X5s.
And it should be noted, Lawrence, that before these 2 X5s, there was a minute's gap, seconds gap between the car, the last car, and these ones. And then they came in, bumper to bumper, these two, because they are driving together. And for the record, your worship, we are here. We are already here. We are being blocked. The reason why you are being told to look at minutes and count minutes and as if we were not part of the convoy, we came late outside the convoy, is not true. We are being blocked. We are here. If you check the outside camera now, you will find us there.
But even on the inside, Mr. Malema, in which direction are the people looking?
They are looking at the direction, the outside direction, because there is an activity there.
But we don't know what they're seeing because
we don't see what's happening. But conveniently, the outside video is not brought to this court, so that the court cannot have a total picture of what really transpired and make a decision on half-baked information. We're here. Everybody is looking at outside there. So the story that your car came minutes after is neither here nor there, because I was blocked outside.
And 15, 49, 10. I want you to focus, please, sir, on, as my learned friend had asked you, on the ladies. You see them there coming into camera? They put their hands up. Are you watching them? 3 ladies. Thank you. Those 3 ladies, in that confrontation, whom do they approach and hold?
Venter.
Do any of them push you or accused number 2 back?
No.
Thank you.
But if you look at the Lawrence, Venter has got the radio there Your Worship, on that video when he's standing next to the guardhouse. He's not calling for backup. He's not calling VOC. Why would a police officer who feels under attack not call for backup, not call for VOC and say we've got an incident? If anything, he calls when we're done and we've left at the cemetery.
Thank you, Sir. When you observed Colonel Venter, what was he doing? Did he look perturbed? How would you describe?
No,
his
he was in good shape. If you play that video,
What?
he's continuing with his duties. He didn't have any problem. He was interacting
What's
with
his
his people.
facial expressions?
He's even laughing. He says when he panics, he laughs or something. I remember he said something to that effect. He's laughing. He had access to all manner of assistance he needed if he was on the right. He could have sanctioned any assistance. He knew, and for sure, even those police officers, the ladies, reminded him that what you are doing is wrong. Stop it.
And most significantly, do you see him summoning any backup or anybody to take
No.
action after the
No. But also, in his own evidence, Your Worship never said we went inside to look for them or to look for a vehicle. My biggest problem, Your Worship, is as you are about to make your own decision, why would a car that is not credited, that is not security checked, pass and go and park with the president's cars and other cars that are security checked? What? Because it defeats the purpose. If a car is not checked and then some two tiny young boys come and push a well-built police officer, and on the basis of that, you say, no, that car can still park, even when it has not met the security requirements. He knew, and if he was honest, he was supposed to confess here. But after his investigation, he realized those people had a right to be there. So it's not an assault out of intention, Your Worship. We never left our homes to go and assault a police officer. It was never in our mind. In our mind was to bury our mother in a dignified manner. And we were not going to allow anything to take that away from us. From where I'm sitting, I feel justified that had I not done what I've done, till to date I will not have a closed chapter, because I will not have buried my mother out of the white arrogance of a police officer who think he can do as he wish. If we're wrong, Your Worship, why are these men and women in cloth, law enforcement officers, in uniform? Why are they not joining Venter? Why are they just standing like that? These are senior people. By the way, Your Worship, as a special funeral or a state funeral, the parade is constituted by very senior officers. They would have intervened there and there. Why would these people just sit like that, stand like that, if there are people who are committing crime? Unjustifiably so. They knew Venter was doing something wrong, and that's why they did not even intervene. They could have finished us. The one that Mapisa, who came to speak to accused number 2, came, spoke to accused number 2, encouraged him in his own words to go back to a vehicle. How do you beg a criminal? Why would a soldier beg a criminal? He knew there was something wrong, and that's why he asked us to go back into our cars and proceed.
Thank you, Joseph. I have no further questions. Those are the only two aspects I wish to clarify. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Otis. Thank you, Mr. Malema. You're excused. I believe that may be returned to Mr. Otis.
Joseph, it is my intention to call accused 2, but time is
I believe we have
over.
run out of time. The court also wants to thank all court officials. I believe I said quarter 2, and we are over quarter 2
Yes,
as
Your
well.
Worship, please, sorry.
I do thank all court officials in this regard. I believe I was approached off record with regards to a postponement date, which is the 1st of July. That still stands, is that correct?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. Mr.
Friday,
Malema?
1 July, Your Worship.
Yes. Mr. Malema as well as Mr. Ndlozi may stand. We have run out of court time and therefore this matter is now being postponed to the 1st of July 2022, court number 13 for further evidence. Both of you are on warning and warned to appear at 8:30. If you fail to be at court or to remain in attendance until you are excused by the court, it will lead the court to issue warrants for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
You are then excused. Ms. Hart, may the USB, the video evidence be returned to court. The court will take possession.
Sorry.
The court has been placed in possession of the original charge sheet as well as all the exhibits. The court will remain in possession of such exhibits to prevent that it is not lost for future reference.
Mr. Baba is just assisting us to hand to Your Worship
Yes.
the name stick. It's in the official envelope. Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Otis. Thank you, Mr. Hart. Court adjourned.